It happened. It finally happened. A whole nother year has passed. And if you've been watching these videos for long enough, then you would know that basically, well, reasonably sporadically across this entire last year, like I'm talking March, I'm talking July, I'm talking September, all the way even just in like earlier February, I'm sure you can find a ton of little quotes and phrases where I'm basically saying, shit man, we're 2 months deep. We're 4 months deep. We're at the halfway point. Year 50% over. You know, we're at the 80% mark. It's October, man. It's November. And then now, well, for you, for me, today's New Year's Eve. But by the time this gets uploaded, man, whole nother year, 2025. We're gonna have a massive spike of Xing out the 4 and then writing a 5 on dates, as well as a whole new. Oh, it's like a reset. You know, the whiteboard is now being erased. 2024 is over. New year, new me, new goals, new routine, new everything. Right? Locked in 2025 winter arc grind set is now beginning for many. And that's not the unfortunate part. The unfortunate part is the fact that it is going to end for not just as many, because every year, of course, there's a whole new crew of basically freshmen to get locked into, well, just anything, right? But the majority are going to end it. You know, I mean, it's I keep seeing the like random posts talking about how whatever percentage of people give up on their New Year's whatever by like 1 week or like the first Friday of the year. They had like some kind of name for it. Faker Friday, I don't know, something like that. But I think that's where it's going to help to have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder and really just try to stick out. Because think about this, you know, who is really killing it? Who is really getting somewhere in terms of any sort of goal or like skill or anything? It's not just guys who have like insane talent. Like, sure, that's definitely going to play a part. There's dudes in, I mean, there's a million like guys in Brazil who are like 2 years younger than me, way more jacked, you know. But what I'm trying to get at is, as much as there are dudes who just have a natural gift for shit, that's not the majority. A larger percentage, or at least a larger, demographic of dudes who actually make shit happen, are the ones who just show up. And really showing up is like 70% of it, you know. I would not be surprised if you took 2 dudes, or let's say you did it in like a study style where you actually had like a control group and a different group, all of a very similar demographic, large enough that you could actually like take some data from it. You took one group and you had them do their regular routine all year, just like normal. Work, home, chill, and then that's the gist of it. And then the other group, don't even give them a workout routine. Don't even tell them any specific goals to hit, but make sure that for 30 minutes a day minimum, they go to the gym. Now, there's no requirement that they have to even do anything. There's no like logbook, like, okay, I did this. Just having them be in that space for 30 minutes a day, or let's even just say 30 minutes 5 times a week, make it a little bit more realistic. I can almost guarantee that you will see a noticeable bump in a couple of different fitness metrics of those guys, because if they're in the gym, odds are they're probably going to work out, you know. And not even the most crazy like Eric Bugenhagen, like Zercher deadlift 405, or like just being in the gym and doing a couple sets of everything, even just bouncing around. Like, you don't have to know what the hell you're doing. Like, do a couple sets of curls, do a couple sets of pull downs, do some leg extension stuff. Like, going from 0 to even just coming to the gym and bouncing around on a couple of machines consistently, that is a massive difference. So I think it really sucks how much of a like elitist view that real gym rats kind of have about the gym. And maybe they don't, but I'm just saying, like, there's kind of a like an air to the gym where it's like, okay, I want to know what I'm doing before I come in here. Like I don't want people to think I don't know what I'm doing. Where, I mean, it's just not the case, you know. I mean, yeah, if you see the clips of like Planet Fitness fails, where like some guy is holding onto both cables with the full stack, jumping around like Spider-Man, yeah, I mean, he deserves to get clowned on. But for anybody who's just doing regular stuff, like as long as you don't do anything egregiously weird, nobody is even going to think that. You know, we all know what a set of dumbbell curls should basically look like, or what a set of pushdowns should basically look like. I mean, just pull up a damn Athlete X like workout tutorial video, watch him do it, and then do the same stuff. Like that's really all it takes, you know. So I might not be hitting my intended demographic here, because if you're watching this, you probably already lift. But what I'm trying to get at is, like, if you know anybody who's a little on the fence just because they don't feel like they know exactly what they're doing, or like, oh, I don't, like, dude, just bring them along, you know. I have any gym rat worth his salt who's been lifting for a while has indoctrinated a couple dudes into the gym over the course of time. I mean, I had a group in high school where it was like 6 of us, and I was the main gym rat guy. We bring them all in. I wrote out like a full workout routine, like just basic stuff, like 2 sets of pull downs, 2 sets of rows, 2 sets of pullovers. Like we walk through everything, you know. Like it's not the craziest thing in the world, you know, but it's a pretty awesome example of you're gonna suffer more in your mind than you will in reality. Where it's like, if you make the gym out to be this like intimidating space and like, oh man, I don't know if I want to, then you're already putting yourself in this state of like anxiety that you're not even going to want to go. And I can't stress it enough. Like, this is my last point of like saying this, but just showing up consistently, 70% even might be a little bit too low of a percentage. Like, compared to the populace that's out there, the amount of people that even go to the gym consistently, like let's say 5 times a week, what do you think, 5%? Maybe even like 3% of people are going to go to the gym 5 times a week consistently. So if that's the bar, then for you to even show up and come to the gym on the regular, you just whooped 97% of people. You're now in the 97th percentile. And then take it a step further, you know, get some freaking Metallica playing, get some Through the Fires and the Flame going in your headphones, get extra amped up, and then when you go to the gym consistently, you also kill it consistently, and you try to not redline your effort, but at least know that you're pushing yourself. Dude, I'd say you're easily in the 99th percentile there, and then there's nowhere else to go. It just becomes a waiting game. And that's my favorite part about the gym, is the fact that once you get a routine in place, like once you're working out on the regular, you tracking your macros, let's say you even go extra crazy, you start doing your cardio consistently as well, even just 30 minutes post-workout every couple of days, like that, same thing with the lifting, even just adding that is going to be a huge jump from 0. But if you can start doing that, then it's no longer a question of, okay, am I going to be able to achieve my goals? Like, is this even possible? Like, it's not an if, it's simply a when, because it doesn't take that much to make fitness goals, right? Train, eat a reasonable diet, sleep, and then the 4th step is kind of not even really a step. It's just repeat that loop indefinitely. So, not the most complicated shit. Now, it's not the easiest, I would never say that, but it's not the most complicated. So, all that's to say is, I hope that the gyms don't start to dwindle in terms of their new spike in populace. Because honestly, if everybody that got a gym membership this year stayed in the gym the whole year, I mean, that would really just be just a massive boost fitness-wise. Because then more gyms are going to need to get more equipment, and then they're going to need to expand, and then there's going to be newer like space and machines and stuff. It's like, the more people in the gym, the better, because that would hypothetically sort of induce this upward spiral of gyms getting just getting more membership fees and then getting more stuff. Like, it's just kind of it's just sort of a loop like that. But that's where it's out of my hands, and it never was in my hands to begin with, right? It's not my fitness journey, it's yours. So do you want to be able to look back over the next 6 months and think, oh yeah, 2025 was my year, and not even in like a cringe, like I'm gonna lock in this year kind of TikTok kind of way, like you actually made this shit happen, you know? And that is much better than the alternative in my mind. So get to the point where you locking in isn't even a question. It's simply your natural state of being. But for my first step of this New Year's Eve day, I've got an hour of cardio. So I think I'll probably do 30 minutes on a seated elliptical, and then maybe 30 minutes on the seated bike afterward, just to change it up. And then I've got 15 minutes in the sauna, depending on how hot it is. Sometimes they, like, you can, so the sauna is just sort of this, it's got a temperature probe on the wall. So some guys, when they're really serious, they go up and they splash the temperature probe with water to cool it down so that the sauna starts pumping out more heat. So if it's really hot like an oven, I'll just do 10 minutes. But if it's normal temperature like it is, I think like 160 or 170 or something, then I can handle a full 15 minutes. But after that, as long as the yoga room is open, we can cut to a little post-cardio, post-sauna pose down. See how I'm looking a little extra, well, not really pumped, but not really flat either. Well, I guess just in my post-cardio state. But either way, I'm going to start watching Squid Game 2, or episode 2 of Squid Game 2, and then I'll see you after cardio. All right, so I was feeling reasonably amped up, and I still am. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, let's go crazy. Let's get the 150s. 150s are not happening. As soon as I picked up the 65s, they felt like the hundreds. So I did a warm-up set of the 65s, then the hundreds, which is about like a one plate jump, and then a feeler rep or two of 130. 130 is it. So let's just go nuts with that. Aerials will be my song of choice. Okay. Oh, one or two more. Okay. Oh, one more. Yeah, 130 is a sweet spot. Any more, I'd probably be in the danger zone. I freaking hurt myself. This will be the last one, and then I'll move on to something else. Ugh. Oh, okay. Holy crap. Oh. Okay. Let's go do some pec deck. Oh my gosh. Let's get a straight classic set of pec decks. The first few reps when I'm strong, hold at the top, go slow. But as I get more and more fatigued, these last few will just be fucking brutal. Okay. No. Okay. Okay. Oh, one more. Damn. This is a really good pec deck. I'm getting very minimal front delt activation, which is a problem for me. I'm trying to work on. Let's make these some tempo reps for the first portion. Okay. Oh my God. All right. Let's do something cable related. Yeesh. Those are really good though. These are pretty damn good 5 opening sets. Let's just do some kind of pump style work bent over cable flies. Now these are going to be very different than those pec deck flies were, because I'm not going to sit here and have like a really controlled 1 second hold at the bottom or like do a pause rep. But what I do want to make sure is that at the bottom of every rep, especially when I'm strong, I feel like an extra momentary flex, and not just like straightening my leg out all the way on a leg extension. I mean, getting to that max range of motion and then giving it like a little extra ump, because I promise it can change the way your sets feel. But let's get this one done and decide how to go about finishing off chest. Oh. Yeah. 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 Oh, oh my God. Let's do that in reverse for the next press and then flies. Yeah. No. Yeah. 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 Okay. Let's drop to 25. Yeah. 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 Oh. I think chest is fully pumped. Let's find some lighting to pose down. All right. I think right here is as good a spot to pose down as any. If anything, it might be even more downlit than the spots that I usually go to over there. But I think nothing else to discuss. That was what? 3 sets of hard dumbbell press, 2 sets of pec decks, and then 2 or 3 sets of cable work. I can't remember. But either way, all of that cumulatively added up to a pretty damn freaky ass chest pump. Let's make sure I'm still in focus here. There we go. Whoa. Even just holding that shot was getting me a little lightheaded. Oh my goodness. Crap. All right. Well, I would call that a highly successful chest day. If anything, an insanely successful chest day. And now, my year is over. There's no more lifts. The time has run out. The amount of Sam in 2024, at least in a working out context, is complete. And this is the freaking result. And frankly, I am not disappointed. I actually just ordered like a 1-page year-long calendar that I'm going to put up on my wall, because I want to be able to write like a, basically just a big green check mark across every day that a good lift gets done. And then by the end of the year, I'm gonna have a big ass fucking, green page that checks. I wish I would have done that this year, but what are you gonna do? It's already passed. Oh. And that's a pretty reasonable approach to everything time-wise, because it's like, there's nothing you can do by the time it's already passed. But you get so much time ahead of you, you may as well get a jump start on it now, right? Are you gonna feel better if you finish your essay a week before it's due, or if you got to cram the night before it's due, and then you get a D? I think we both know the answer to that. But let's get out of here. 2024, that's a wrap. All right. And that's it. There's no more undoing it. The cards have been played. What's another kind of phrase for that sort of thing? Well, cards are down. I think that's a better way to put it. But yeah, man, that's it. So look back, do a little self-analytics. How many times did you plan on working out? Like, let's say you have like a 5-day week routine, a 4-day week routine, whatever. How many days did you stick with that versus, how many didn't, or how many did you not? And though potentially unfortunate, and for some very fortunate, there's a pretty direct correlation between that percentage and your gains or your progress, right? Be it fat loss, muscle gain, strength gain, just building up more endurance, like you want to be a little bit more athletic, generally fit from just like coming to the gym, doing regular full body workouts, like whatever that goal may be. The amount of hours that you have clocked will be pretty well represented in the results that you get at the end, and don't forget, you're kind of always on the fucking clock, or the freaking clock, sorry about that, where whether or not you actually kill it, or you just, hang out and play Fortnite after whatever you got to do during the day, even though it might not feel that important, because like that's your free time and who cares, nobody's telling you not to do it. Later on down the line, if you ever feel like you're not exactly where you want to be, and of course if I'm talking about it, it's going to be gains wise, then guess what, man? There's probably a reason for that. And it's because if you look back at your timesheet, there's a few discrepancies. The amount of time actually lifting, going nuts, a little bit of a deficit, and the amount of time on Discord, maybe a little bit of a surplus, And I'm not saying you can't mix the two, of course. I was just playing some Fortnite last night with Mark, but there is such a thing as moderation. You know what I'm saying? So, all that's to say is, you'll get out what you put in. And I say this a lot about the working out, and why I really like it is because that's pretty much just a true statement. I don't want to just keep repeating myself, but I'll say it just for explanation's sake. Let's say you took a guy and you made him go to the gym every day for a whole year, and you made him work out reasonably hard. Like, he just did some basic lifts. He'd do a push day or a leg day or a back day. Hell, maybe he might even skip a leg day every so often, right? We're all human. But whatever. Do you think he's going to be more jacked at the end of that year or less jacked? Probably more jacked. It's as simple as that. If you clock hours in the gym, then it will start to result in gains. And the cool part is, the uncool part of that is, I think that the gym gets like a weird rap. I really don't like to see it, where people really dive into the negative side of things, where it's like using the gym as an outlet for just basically only negative emotions. Like, I really do not love to see the TikTok edits where it's guys basically saying like, I hate myself unless I train to failure. Like, I'm a piece of shit unless I push myself to my absolute limit. Like, I really don't like that mentality. It just turns me off. It doesn't get me going. Like, I want to get excited about training because I like the process of pushing myself, and the results that come afterward are pretty dang cool too. So in the beginning, everybody's got a chip on their shoulder about working out, depending on what your story may have been. Like, there's a couple classic tropes. A girlfriend broke up with you for the football guy. That's becoming a little less prevalent now, I think. I don't think that's probably more of like a 90s story. Like, any of my slightly older demographic might be able to relate to that a little more. Or it's like, maybe you were a little tubbier when you were younger. You want to start getting jacked and really kind of, undo that from whatever. Like, it's all sick. But eventually, I would hope that you start to realize, like, oh, working out is just cool. Pushing myself hard at this is just cool. And I get to be in shape. Like, I get to work on getting myself into reasonably solid shape. Nice. Like, I'm taking this to a totally unnecessary degree. Like, I'm pushing it this far just because this is like my thing, and it's like a vector of progress that I really want to pursue in my free time. Or not in my free time, just in my time, So that's like if somebody is a freaking guitarist. They love playing guitar, they love getting good at guitar, they like having fun with it. That's what they do, right? Usually lifting and that thing that you get to spend your days doing aren't the same. For me, they definitely are. So that's why I'm taking it so far. But even just coming to the gym reasonably frequently and getting into better shape, like, I can't emphasize the value of that enough, And I'm looking at it from a third-person perspective. Like, I'm not the guy to come to if you want some motivation on like a real serious fat loss journey. Like, that's just not the life I've lived. But I do get to see the upside of being at a reasonable like BMI or body fat percentage. Like, I'm not trying to dog on anybody, but if I had to carry around an extra 50-pound backpack at all times, that would kind of suck. That's just kind of hindering me, So if your thing is like, this year I want to make it happen, I want to get some cardio hours clocked, I want to start tracking my calories, I want to get under 200 pounds, or I want to break 210, or whatever your goal might be, dude, that is a solid ass thing to achieve. Now, all you got to do is just not get discouraged by the fact that it's going to take a little while. But all that's to say is, I've never seen anyone, and I really couldn't imagine anybody, where after they get themselves into solid shape, that they decide to completely flip it around and say, screw it, I'm done with this. And even if sometimes life gets in the way, it's like the classic real job, kids, I would certainly imagine that it's going to get pretty tricky to balance things out with. Like, it's not I'm still kind of a young buck there, so I'm pretty spoiled. But everybody's got that itch. Like, once you get indoctrinated into the gym, then that fire's always going to be in the back of your mind at all times, where it's like, oh yeah, all right, I better lock it back in. And if you've been jacked before, like you've been in reasonable shape back when you're in college or whatever, like mid-20s or something, and then you've kind of gotten out of it, you're not really in the gym as often, dude, guess what? You still have residual gains from when you worked out when you were younger, kind of basically lying dormant. Because after you've gained a certain amount of muscle, you did not completely just shrink that all away and atrophy back to a regular dude, right? Let's say you were, you know, what's a reasonably lean football build? Offensive lineman? Definitely not a defensive lineman. Whatever. You did college sports, you were yoked, and then you kind of backed off. You haven't really been working out as much. Guess what? You've still got those myonuclei, little extra muscle fibers. Because not only when you work out do the muscle fibers that you have get bigger and just physically larger and more inflated with like sarcoplasm and muscle glycogen and all sorts of fancy pants stuff, but you actually start to build more of these little fibers, right? So somebody that's worked out for a long time and gotten reasonably developed muscularly, even if they shrink down over time, they still built up all those new fibers. So getting back into it, you've already got a head start. So to regain your gains is much easier than to have gained them in the first place. But same thing, you know, with any new introduction of like a training routine, it does take a little while to get into. And all I can really say there is, you know, try to fight for that adaptation. I get so much flack for talking about the, well, actually, I don't get that much flack, but I'll get a lot of sort of like, dude, there's no way you could possibly train every day of every week and make results. There's no way you could possibly do that. And I think you're definitely not wrong in the sense that rest days are probably reasonably beneficial. Like I'm a nutcase about it. I just love to lift, so I want to do it every day. And even as a beginner, I've kind of been on like a daily training split forever. But keep in mind that when I started working out, I had just quit doing like men's gymnastics, swinging around the bars and stuff. So I was kind of already primed for pretty high intensity daily activities, because that was like a 6-day-a-week thing for like 3 hours straight. So it wasn't too hard for me to add like daily workouts. But no matter what kind of routine you get yourself into, your body is not as weak as these guys say that it is. Like when anybody talks about overtraining or whatever, it's like, oh, you shouldn't push yourself that hard. I mean, that really just, like you're pushing me away, man. Because there is no way that your body would have like a certain hard limit of effort where it's like, oh, you actually did that set too hard. Now you're not going to make any gains. It's like, no, man. You can under recover. That 100% is for sure. If you're not eating enough food, you're not getting enough water, you're not getting enough sleep, you can definitely under recover and build fatigue. But if you're doing like an hour workout on the daily, hour and a half workout, and you eat enough protein and go to sleep, dude, I think you're gonna be able to come back the next day. But again, it is an adaptation. You know, I remember I had Mark come into the gym when I was like 16 or so. He was 14 or whatever, and I had him do my 25 set chest day, where it was like 5 sets of bench, 5 sets of incline bench, 5 sets of dumbbell bench, 5 sets of like just all sorts, basically 25 total working sets for chest. Way too much. I did not I did not understand the value of like denser work. I should have I wish I would have watched some more Mike Menser when I was younger. But like that first time that I brought him in there, I freaking killed him, man, because he hadn't worked out before, and I had him do way too much volume. But after a little while, he got into it, and then he was doing the same workouts that I was doing, you know? So there is most certainly room to try to, you know, sort of pinpoint a specific, scientifically supported, whatever, optimal routine. But the effort's got to come first. So that's, now I'm getting into all sorts of a crazy ramble here. I'm just going down different rabbit holes, getting a little off track. But all that's to say is, coming into next year, as long as you've got some time to make it happen, if you spend it working out, I can promise that you won't regret it. Now, you might feel a little tired in the moment, especially on a leg day when you didn't get enough sleep. You might feel a little tired. I mean, I've been there before. I've had some lifts where I was like, God, this sucks. And usually that's only when I let my recovery falter, or I was just being stupid, like staying up too late. Actually, I can't really remember the last time I had a lift that felt like that. But it's definitely happened. So even though sometimes it might feel like you do got to grind, in the long run, you're only going to look back at it and think, why didn't I start doing this sooner? why didn't I start doing this freaking sooner? So it's like the classic phrase, the best time to have planted a tree was 200 freaking years ago, but the second best time is right this very moment. So that's where I would, if you're looking into getting some kind of membership, you don't have one yet, maybe you've just been kind of, you know, coattailing one of your friends' memberships, find a gym that's got 24-hour access. Because if you do, then that's just one more barrier to entry of getting your daily workout in that is now off the table. Because I know so many guys where it's very easy for them to say, like, oh, well, dude, the gym's gonna close at 9, man. It's already 7:45. Yeah, I'll just do it tomorrow. No. Not freaking cool, right? So if you can start to hold yourself to a standard like that, before you know it, you won't have to hold yourself to that standard. That's just what you're going to be used to. You know, it's like that frog in the pot of boiling water. Like if you increase the temperature slowly, it's not going to jump out because the dude is like, you know, getting used to it. He might be thinking, man, it's getting kind of warm in here, but he's still going to keep going. And that might not be the best analogy because the frog gets boiled alive at the end of it. But you get what I'm saying. So all that's to say is if I have any specific statements or phrases or mantras going into next year, or I guess for you, not since this video has been posted this year, I'd say kill it consistently. Actually, that's pretty much it. If you kill it consistently, then after not that long, you will start to notice that you have been. And I'm not talking just like subjective, like, oh, I feel pretty good too. I'm talking physical freaking results. But that's as much as I can say. You know, as much as I can talk about how cool the gym is and like, oh man, I love getting a pump. That's just my experience. You know, you got to get after it and make that shit happen yourself. So hopefully we see some more freaks pop out of the woodworks coming into this 2025. So I'm gonna pull out of this exit and not crash, and then go home, eat something, and then I've got 30 minutes of cardio still. I'm gonna stop at my parents' house for just a little New Year's hanging, then go home, stop at the apartment gym, bust out 30 minutes on the seated bike, have a shower because I'm sure I stink, and then start this next year off with a good night's rest. And I'll probably even have a dream about the back day that I'm gonna have tomorrow. So I think that's all I got. I'll freaking see you next year.